When the war ended, I the division I was with was almost closest to Berlin. And then the order came down, we were going to move south. They wanted the Russians, the big shots wanted the Russians to get into Berlin first. So we were sent down, I went all the way down to Austria, way south. Linz, Austria was where I ended up when the war ended. And I was in there, I had a fight with my first sergeant. And I was mad as heck. I went in and sat down on the floor in a building that we took over. And I was sitting there reading the Stars and Stripes, which was an army newspaper. You could read that and find out what was going on. And all of a sudden, the door opened, and in walked my brother Frank. The sergeant come in first. He says to me, "Kelly," he says, "somebody here to see you." And I'm saying to myself, who could be seeing me in Austria? And my brother walked in, my brother Frank. Well, I was flabbergasted. I hadn't seen him in 3 years. And then right behind him was my brother George. And that really set me off. And they came in with my brother Frank's first sergeant. They came something like 500 miles to see me. I had no idea how they got a Jeep to come down that far. And not only that, but gas. I don't know where they got that. And I was sorry, I never asked my brother that. My younger brother George, we were very close in age, and now a year and a half or so. We were almost like twins.
Oh, about George and John? They were like twins, absolutely like twins. But their personalities were a little different. George was more outgoing. You wouldn't think he had a problem in the world. He was always smiling. Right, John?
Yeah.
He was always smiling. John was a little quiet. But one time I remember...
George was one of these guys, tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah. But I remember one time George's wife told me, she said, those two can sit in a room together and not say a word to each other and know what each other are thinking. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. And I watched it. And she was right.
What drew me to golf? Golf is very therapeutic, I think. Makes you forget other things when you're playing. His daughter got very ill and was in the hospital at that time. And she was pretty well till she was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And then she got sick and he was put in the hospital. So this helped him to forget about his troubles, I guess. George would say, when you get on the golf course, you forget about everything else in life except trying to get a good score in the golf and, of course, beating me. If I drove the ball, in golf, once the ball lands, you're not supposed to move it or anything. You got to hit where it lies. If it goes in a deep hole or something, you still got to hit it or take a stroke. So he used to walk out, and when I wasn't looking, he'd step on my golf ball in the middle of the fairway. And then if I said, well, how did that happen? He said, you can't touch that ball. So I had to add a stroke if I touched it or hit it. It was kind of fun because I got to laugh because he was so, he wasn't that kind of a guy. He was an easygoing guy. I don't know, it was just fun.
He's told me I'm most similar to my grandpa, George. Since I never really got to meet him, well, because I don't remember most of him, or any of him, I kind of like it because I hear all the great stories about him, and I know he's a great man. I'm happy that I remind people of him.